right, and there we are. Cool, awesome. Well, I want to welcome everybody. Good evening to our District 14 virtual town hall. I'm Odette Ramos, your councilwoman from the 14th District. Very excited today to have Director Jason Mitchell, and he decided to bring in the entire Department of Public Works with him tonight to talk all things trash, recycling, water, wastewater, and everything in between. So I'm honored that so many of the wonderful, wonderful people at the Department of Public Works are with us this evening. And I'm honored that they're spending time with us on a Wednesday evening at 8 o'clock when most of us are with our families. So I do appreciate everybody coming on. Just a couple of announcements and reminders before we get started. The homeowners tax credit, those of you who are applying for the homeowners property tax credit, that application is due on October 1st. So next Friday, please call our office if you need assistance in filling out the form and getting it to where it needs to be. We want you to not have to pay so much property tax and have the state pay it, because that's what the credit does. If you earn 60,000 or less and own your home, you are eligible. And then also on October 1st seems to be a big day, is the plastic bag ban. So be ready. The Giant is not going to have plastic bags. It'll have an alternative bag that you have to buy for the small bag for 5 cents, but we really want you to have those reusable bags. So make a plan for the reusable bags. There will be bags distributed at the Giant in Waverly on that first day. I don't know what time, but I'll get back to you on that. And we also, if you need a bag, please call our office. And if you have a bunch of reusable bags like I do, please bring them to the Waverly market on Saturdays. We're collecting them to be able to give to people who really need them. So I'm glad that finally it's happening and we are ready. So again, I want to thank Director Mitchell for being here this evening. We have a good audience, and I'm gonna allow for, the director. Welcome to Baltimore. Glad to have you. You are, well, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll go into some of the questions that I have, and then have a good discussion.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me this evening. And I'm glad, we were able to bring the entire Public Works team with us here tonight. But, this is my 4th or 5th month on the job here in Baltimore. And, I had an opportunity and having an opportunity to definitely learn a lot about Baltimore City. It's a great city. Folks have opened their arms and really extended a lot of knowledge to me as I'm trying to, learn a lot about the city and move a lot of the programs forward. Some of the programs that we'll talk about here tonight. Just a little bit about me. I come by via the city of Oakland. I worked almost 14 years in that city in various roles, to include the public works director in that city, overseeing similar infrastructure that we do here in Baltimore City. Some of the experience that I have in bringing to Baltimore City is first, really understanding zero waste and solid waste function, and being able to push the city to a higher diversion levels, but also really managing and critical infrastructure, and really looking at how we invest in our capital infrastructure, and doing that where we have the best return on our investments, and we're monitoring and maintaining that infrastructure to the best of our ability. So I'm looking at coming here to Baltimore City, learn from everyone here on the call, learn from the community, and work together to solve the many opportunities that we have here in Baltimore City. So thank you, Councilwoman, for allowing me this evening to talk to you and your constituents, and looking forward to the dialogue and the discussion.
Thank you so much. And again, welcome to Baltimore. I was very excited about the zero waste part of your experience, because as you know, we're all in favor of shutting down that incinerator, and we have 10 years to do it. So we have to move quickly. And I know many of my colleagues are very excited to work with you on that effort to get to zero waste, which is certainly going to be a feat, I think, because it does involve changing habits and all of that. So we're looking forward to it. So do you want to introduce who's here so that we all know who's here?
Yes, I'm just, we have a large, robust team here. So I want to thank the DPW team for coming out and really being, on this call with us. I'm gonna start just by box because I think that's easier for me not to forget anyone. So Janelle, it looks like you're on first. Say your name and what you do.
Hi, I'm Janelle Mummy, and I am legislative liaison for DPW, which means I work with the council members and state legislators to get questions answered for you, and also to make sure that we have responses to legislative inquiries and bills and things like that. So I'm who the councilwoman would go to for questions.
Perfect. Thank you, Janelle. Marcia, how you doing today? It's good to see you on the call today. Marcia Collins is up next.
Thank you, Director. I'm Marcia Collins. I'm the Chief of the Office of Legislative Affairs, and Janelle and I and a third colleague, Carol Hellman, work very closely on both state and local legislation, and we've been very fortunate through the Mayor's Office of Government Relations to work closely with our congressional representatives to keep track of all the potential infrastructure bills, the ARPA funds, and all the things that may and we hope will continue to come out of the federal government to help support our communities and our folks. So it's very nice to see everyone. Thank you.
Perfect. And I know we don't have enough time, so we'll fly through the rest of the intros. Tim Wolf.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tim Wolf, Bureau of Water Wastewater Chief of the Office of Engineering and Construction. Been a consultant for 40 years in the Baltimore region and joined the city 2 months ago, and look forward to moving the city forward in the water wastewater arena. Thank you.
Thank you. Marco Merrick.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Director Mitchell. I'm Marco Merrick. I'm the Acting Chief of the Office of Equity and Environmental Justice. We're working internally and externally to ensure that DPW establishes equity in all we do.
Perfect. Thank you, Marco. I see James, you're next.
Good evening. James Bentley, Director of Communications for the Department of Public Works.
Perfect. Thank you. Christian is next on my screen.
Kristen Ohlendorf, Chief of the Office of Support Services for the Bureau of Solid Waste.
Perfect, thank you. Andrew?
Andrew Elshire, Director of Special Projects, currently the recycling cart guru.
Brian?
I'm Brian Ball. I'm the Chief of the Office of Asset Management. So our office helps the engineers and operators determine, when to replace and where to replace degrading assets throughout the city.
Perfect. Michael?
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Michael Holman. I'm the Acting Division Chief of the Wastewater Facilities Division. I oversee operation of both of our treatment plants at Back River and Patapsco and all the various pump stations around the city.
Thank you. Carmelita?
Yes, I'm Carmelita Green, the Executive Assistant to Yolanda Winkler in the Office of Communications and Strategic Alliances.
Thank you. Deborah?
Good evening. My name is Deborah Pitts, and I am the Chief for Water Facilities Division, and that includes the watersheds, water treatment, water pumping, and the water quality laboratories.
Thank you. Joseph?
Good evening. My name is Joseph Cabeda. I am the Acting Bureau Head for the Bureau of Water and Wastewater.
Thank you. Latoya?
Latoya Curtis, Deputy Chief of Administration and the Interim Chief for the Customer Services and Support Division.
Thank you. James.
Good evening. My name is James Patrick, Chief of Utility Maintenance Division under Bureau of Water and Wastewater.
And then James Bentley as well.
We got James Bentley already.
Yeah, I was gonna say I went already.
Yeah.
All right, perfect.
Jennifer, I think, is the
And
last one.
Jennifer is the last one.
Hello, I'm Jennifer Combs. My title is Public Relations Officer, and I work with our Communications Director, James Bentley.
All right, you've got the A team here, so it's
Yes.
very exciting. Great, well, we'll get right into it, and I know we'll hear from many of you today. Again, thank you so much for being here. So trash. Well, first of all, let me just tell you how excited we are about bringing back bulk trash pickup. So it's been, and I really am thankful that I think you heard from many folks, not just from the council, but the public, that, you know, getting bulk trash back was #1 priority from the pandemic. So can we talk a little bit about how this is going to work? I think one of the issues, the questions that we had, well, tell me how it works, and then we'll go from there.
No, thank you. I think we're all excited about bringing bulk trash. As you know, it's a great service to our community. You know, folks that may not be able to make it out to our residential recycling locations, it gives them a great opportunity to get rid of some of their bulk items. So the way it will start, #1, bulk collections are all to be scheduled via the 311, and not so much the mobile app or online, as by calling a 311 representative to schedule that appointment. All bulk appointments will be scheduled for Saturday, whereby we have divided the city up in 4 different zones. And each Saturday of the week, we'll be dealing and we'll be picking up bulk materials in each zone, making sure that we get to your area at least once a month, and with the idea of picking up three items, and one, I would say, appliance or white goods are that you would say, and so one of the
So just to be clear, so it's 3 items, including the 1 white good, or 3 items and a white good? So it's a total of 4.
Christian Orlandolph probably can explain a lot more, but my understanding is 3 + 1, but I could be wrong.
Think it's a total of 3 items, but when you call 311, it's 2 separate requests. So you can either request a bulk collection or a white good collection. So depending on what you have. So Director, you are correct. Apologies about that. So you can request a bulk collection for up to 3 items in addition to a white goods collection for 1 item.
And explain what a white good is real quick.
Yes, it's a little bit of a dated term. It really refers to appliances, which used to be white more than metallic, but refrigerators, dishwashers, mostly like kitchen goods, microwaves, things like that. And that's separate from bulk only because we have to make sure the refrigerants and types of things, chemicals and things like that, are removed.
Got it. So when somebody calls, they just say, hey, I've got some bulk items, and by the way, I have a dishwasher or a refrigerator, and that way the crew knows maybe to separate that out. So
yeah.
Okay.
Thank
Great.
you, Council. Yeah,
Thank you. Yep. So people call, don't go online, call for their appointment. And then I'm sorry, I didn't look at the materials that were emailed from us today. I haven't been on my email, so you can imagine what my inbox looks like. Because I was out in the community today, which is my favorite part, by the way. Is there a map that shows which quadrant that folks would be in?
Once you speak to a 311 representative, they'll take your information, your address, and then they will book that appointment based upon that quadrant. I think we'll be, posting some of that information online shortly, but your 311 representative will definitely be able to tell you the target date. One of the things about the bulk good program, it is by schedule only. So you want to make sure that you scheduling those appointments, but also we are slowly rolling back the program as with our resources. And so we definitely want the public to be patient with us and booking them. We're still yet getting geared up. We have received many different appointments so far, so we're excited about the interest in the program, and we're looking forward to providing that level of service to where the public can expect it. So we're excited about it. We're looking forward to offset potentially other ways that it could enter our waste stream. But I also want to make the public know as well, if you are in a hurry to get rid of some of your household items, we do have 5 residential drop-off locations citywide, whereby Monday through Saturday from 9 to 5, you can get rid of white goods or appliances, but also other household items that you deem to get rid of. And it's an excellent program. I can say I have, since I moved to Baltimore and I'm unpacking a lot of boxes and clean out a lot of things, I have been able to utilize that program, and it's an excellent resource as well for getting rid of items in your household.
Great, so that's exciting. We have a couple of questions. So constituents will receive a confirmation number so that they can call back and they can reference. So it'll be the same kind of service that we're getting from 311 to begin with.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. I hope they're prepared for the influx of calls.
There's been plenty so far.
Yeah, I'm sure. And I would imagine that you've already done the training with them, and they're great. I always find our 311 operators to be excellent. And then will the bulk and white items be picked up by the same driver at the same time, or will it be 2 separate drivers?
There will be 2 separate drivers. So your traditional bulk goods will be picked up by your traditional packer or garbage truck, and your bulk goods will be picked up by a different vehicle, a flatbed or so, where we lift it up into the back of the truck because making sure that we can recycle what we can. And so there will be 2 different vehicles. There will be 4 crews each Saturday starting. So it'll be 4, I would say, bulky crews, and then 1 appliance crew or white goods crew that will be going throughout those areas to deal with those pickups on those Saturdays.
Great. Well, I just thank you so much for reprioritizing getting bulk, because we've had an increase in illegal dumping, I think, as a result of not having it. And really look forward to getting the word out and helping constituents with how to do this right. So again, thank you very much. So along the lines of trash, we're still getting reports that some of the trash pickups, the trash pickups are not being done properly, where some cans are all moved all the way to the end of the block and then picked up, or not all of the waste is taken. And you were with us in Coldstream Homestead Montebello when you saw some of the other things there. Can you talk a little bit about how things are moving to, I realize that there's a huge staffing shortage in our garbage collectors. And, we want to make sure that, and believe me, when everything shut down and the garbage collectors were still doing their job, they still do run the city. And so we want to make sure that, they're supported, but also want to make sure that, our trash gets picked up properly. So can you talk a little bit about what the stabilization of that division's, how that's going, and what we should be expecting, and if we do have a problem with trash pickup, where to go?
No, thank you for that question. And thank you for acknowledging the hard work of the men and women of the Solid Waste Bureau, as you know, and as you alluded to, for the last year and a half. they've been, out there on the front lines every day, really supporting Baltimore City residents and picking up the trash. Well, with that, you are correct. We have received, we have a staff shortage, not only in our laborers, but also in our CDL drivers. And so, it's been, rather, difficult to ensure that we get our routes out and those trash pickups. And I have to say, our Bureau of Solid Waste has been very, sometimes putting one driver and one laborer on a crew. Traditionally, your routes have, one driver and two laborers to help support it. But they've been doing, and some of the staff has been doing excellent work to try to pick up some of the slack where we're left off. Even some crews are doing two routes in order to ensure that we get the routes up. And our route completion over the last month and even over the last many months has been, really high into the high 90s. So we're excited about that. But, should you see that our staff may have missed a route or missed a street, many of our staff are new as well. So they're learning some of their routes. So sometimes we do have some mishaps. The best thing that you can do is call 311. 311 will go directly to our dispatch and it'll get out to our crews, and our crews will either that same day will come and deal with the matter at hand, and/or we will come that following day and deal with it. So should there ever be an issue with, solid waste or your pickup, immediately call 311, let us know, and we'll come. We also want to let folks know too, to ensure that, all their trash is, properly bagged and placed inside the container with the lid closed. Everyone is entitled to 96 gallons of trash to be removed per household per week. And so we want to make sure that you're utilizing that limit, but also ensuring that you're bagging that trash and putting in that. And it definitely helps our drivers be able to get it in the back of the truck, but it also helps prevent, litter from being able to be blown throughout your neighborhood. So, that partnership will be very critical. But, again, if there's any issues around your trash, 311 is your solution.
Great, yes. And then we had a question about, will DPW be providing no-cost CDL training?
So DPW is working on a training for CDL drivers for DPW workers. So the idea is to provide CDL license training for our labor group, our solid waste worker group, and other certain classifications, so they can get their CDL license and promote into the driver class. Number one, be able to train and provide professional training, for professional development for our employees, but also provide upward mobility for our employees. So yes, we are working currently on being able to provide that training, hopefully within the next 6 to 8 weeks.
We have a comment from the Facebook about how the service updates when there might be the recycling or the trash left behind has been very helpful. So just want to give a shout out to the communications crew for updating everybody when the services are behind. And so we have a question about how come it takes so long for the alleys to be cleaned after the crews come by and don't do the right thing? What kind of time frame should we be expecting? 24 hours?
Well, one of the things that we're expecting is that our crews are doing the proper thing. So if our solid waste crews are going out there and for some reason some debris was missed or dropped, we're hoping to get that within 24 hours. But again, our crews are limited and we're short staffed, so that timeline could increase. But we want folks to call 311 and we'll get our crews out as quick as possible. Depending on the day and depending on the circumstance, we will have enough crews that will be able to get out and respond quicker. But sometimes it may take longer just based on staff participation and enough staff to actually be able to respond.
Great, thank you. And then somebody is also asking if we can find an organizational chart somewhere on the website so that we know really for our staffs and for ourselves, you know, who to call on in certain situations.
Definitely.
Okay, thank you, appreciate
Share
that.
link.
So there's a lot more to talk about around trash, but we have a lot to talk about. So, well, let me just add one question about trash, and this goes into the next conversation. Director, I didn't send you this question, but the issue of educating our folks around better trash pickup or management and all of that, you know, we really want to have a big campaign around it. I believe DPW had started a campaign right when the pandemic hit, and we are also going to do some work here in the district. So is the department planning on, you know, working with the mayor's office on a campaign of sorts to just try to get folks to not litter, and don't put your waste in the median, and don't throw your
Yes.
stuff out of the car and all of that?
Yes, so definitely we're working on two campaigns. Number one, as we roll out our recycling carts, you know, a campaign on how to engage with those carts, what to put in the carts, what not to put in the carts, right? And so, you know, whether that campaign, you know, is pamphlets, postcards, you know, videos, stickers on your can. There's going to be a full recycling anti-contamination campaign. We're also working with the administration now to you know, put together plans for a blight campaign, such as, you know, illegal dumping and as such. So, you know, one of the things about recycling and illegal dumping, the most critical component is of your 4E program is education, right? How to, you know, what can you do with your extra debris, such as now we have Boki, right? We have the residential drop-off locations, but also how do you use, you know, your containers there at the curb. And two, as we roll out our recycling, you know, how recycling and proper recycling can relieve a pressure from your garbage container, meaning you're going to put a lot of your plastics, your aluminums, your cardboards, and different things in your recycling bin, which will free up space for other things in your garbage bin. To get to that and to get to zero waste and better diversion is to really educate the public on how to use that. So there is a plan for doing that robustly. And if we want to get into many details, Andrew is on a call. He's working tirelessly to roll out, you know, our recycling campaign. He can go into some, you know, really great details on what we're doing to ensure Baltimore residents have the tools to be successful.
Yeah, I'm interested in that because the first wave of the carts is coming to some of my neighborhoods that have not been traditional recyclers. Although I was on my run this morning in one of my neighborhoods, and I saw the recycling truck out there, which I was very happy to see. And one of the things around the recycling piece is starting to go to zero waste, which we're very excited about. And I think I've mentioned to you and wanted to mention this forum that we are working on a bottle and can deposit. It's going to take me a couple of years to do this because we have to get some work at the state, because the manufacturers aren't going to put the little sticker just for Baltimore City. So we've got to do it statewide, as well as thinking about deconstruction and how we address that issue, because a lot of our illegal dumping is actually construction waste and demolition waste. So, you know, those are some things that I know I'm working on. I know my colleagues are working on other pieces of the package, and it's exciting to you know, deal with that. So yeah, let's hear more about the recycling carts. They will be blue, not yellow, right? And they will be as big as our green trash cans, with a caveat, right? Andrew, tell us about that.
Correct. So the caveat being most green cans in the city, all but about 4,000 of them are 65-gallon carts. at least 4,000 is the estimate. But so you can choose to have a 35 gallon, which is the smaller, it's skinnier, it's a little shorter. If you don't feel like you want as much recycling to take out, if you don't have as much recycling, or if you have like an alley in the back where you keep your cart and you might not have enough space for the 65 gallon. So there's the option to opt down, if you could say, to a 35 gallon. You can also opt to not have one at all, and DPW is still going to be happy to pick up your recycling if you put it out. So these carts, some neighborhoods it's funny, I was just looking at, so I could be prepared, the neighborhoods in your district, Councilwoman, are, I guess that shows some of the disparity that exists in the equity numbers in the city. But some of your neighborhoods are happening. There's 56 recycling routes. I'm not going to go too much into that, but based on this, 56 community areas divided into recycling routes to determine the order of recycling. It's an equity-based approach. So those who need carts to help recycle will receive them first. So some of the neighborhoods in yours are like 1 through 7, and some of the neighborhoods are 51 through 54 in your district. So with like smack dab in the middle of your district, Edner Gardens, that's actually like 26th or 27th out of 56. So it's an interesting kind of dichotomy of the city, just your district alone.
Right, we're getting carts first in Coldstream, Homestead, Montebello, Darley Park.
Correct.
I have a teeny little sliver of Harwood, so we'll get them there.
Yeah, Harwood is the first route that's going out in the entire city.
Oh, okay. Okay. And then Coldstream, Homestead, Montebello, and Darley Park. So I know that there will be, flyers. I do think that, we will, what I'd like to do is go out there and knock on some doors and talk to a lot of folks that are interested in these. And I think I like the carts with the lids on them, because too often, if on a windy day, we got recyclone. We don't want recyclone. We actually want, the recycling to stay there. And so you said that there'll be like a sticker on the can so people know what to put on. And I wonder, is there going to be some enforcement at all? I don't want to be punitive to our residents who might accidentally use it as a trash can.
Punitive, I don't know if I would say it that way. I think Kristen could talk about, there's the organization, the Recycling Partnership, is providing a significant amount of funds for this project. Not all of them, but a good portion. They're also providing funds for a next phase of an anti-contamination grant, which the education piece is just as important as giving people access and the ability to recycle. And I think she could talk about that. Part of that is related to kind of not punitive, but an enforcement kind of mechanism.
Sure, thanks, Andrew. So the grants from the Recycling Partnership for the carts is really great because it comes with funding specifically for outreach. So we'll be doing a lot of outreach along with the distribution of the carts. And then in addition to that, the Recycling Partnership gave us a grant for this anti-contamination campaign, which will begin early next year once the carts are distributed. And that will really enforce to residents, not enforce in a punitive way, but enforce in a good reinforcing way, what materials are recyclable, and specifically around plastic bags. A lot of residents put their materials in trash bags, which aren't actually accepted. So it'll be a big campaign around that and just making sure people know what is recyclable. We'll be doing some tagging along with that. So we actually have stickers that will go on the carts and just remind residents, if they have a lot of contamination in their cart, that is not acceptable, and just make sure that they're correcting their behavior, making sure the material going into the recyclables is recyclable. So there'll be more to come on that.
Great. Well, I'm glad that the grant also came with money for that education piece, because I think that's going to be really critical first for this to be successful. One of my constituents, Anthony, asked about whether or not we're having, going back to trash real quick, problems in other parts of the district. So initially, when the director came out to Coldstream, Homestead, Montebello, it was literally just Coldstream, Homestead, Montebello that was had been sending me the 311s about trash not being picked up properly. But lately it's actually been a couple of other neighborhoods. And I think it's because of this training piece and the work that you all are trying to do to stabilize the department. So, and so that's, so we are hearing from more neighborhoods now. What about curbside composting? We haven't gotten that far yet. We just got to making sure that the 5 convenience centers could have composting. Is there a plan maybe for doing curbside composting at some point?
I mean, right now, we're doing 2 streams, which is your recycling stream and your organic stream currently right now. We have the full composting at our recycling centers. That's at 5 drop-off centers that we have currently right now. We're trying to stabilize, as you can imagine. So we're taking this time not only to stabilize, but also plan. One of the things that we will be looking forward to doing with administration is really looking to that zero waste vision, and not and really looking at short, medium, and long-term goals so that we can get off the incinerator. And so, you know, curbside composting is something that will be considered definitely in that plan, because in order to really get to, you know, compost, you know, whether your food scraps or your green waste, you know, that blend is going to be very critical. So in order to get to the composting that we want, we have to really look at, you know, those materials that are coming from our homes, and making sure that we have a way to get them to our composting facility so that we can get the outcomes that we want. So again, that's part of the plan. Some of it will be short, similar to our 5 locations where we're doing full composting, you know, starting small and expanding. And then there also will be a broader vision for how we do that throughout the city and deal with it on the curbsides. But there's a lot of planning involved, and, you know, a lot of things that we have to do from an operational standpoint and a facility standpoint so that we can be successful.
If I can just,
go ahead.
sorry.
Go ahead.
If I can add to that, we're actually hosting a few composting workshops in the next month. So if residents are interested in at-home backyard composting, we are actually giving out bins and doing free workshops. The first one was yesterday. So you can go to our DPW website. This is part of the Grow Center pop-ups. It's a really great resource for residents. You can get free mulch and trees in addition to the composting workshop. So if you want to try it out at home, feel free to come out to a workshop and get a free bin and some information about food waste reduction and composting.
Great. And then one last question on the trash and recycling, because I want to get to some water questions. Our recycling, where is it going? Do we know it's getting recycled?
Yes, so we have 2 locations in which where our recycling is being discharged now, and the first location is waste management. So we sent some of our waste there, and we just entered into another agreement with World Recycling. So those recycling are going to those 2 facilities for processing.
So they go to those 2 facilities for processing, and then they're sold, the materials are sold to other, you know, people who are making recycled goods?
So they are sorted, right? And then the recyclables are then bundled and then sold via here in the US or abroad. And so but those processes are happening at the World Recycling and Waste Management Facility. So yes, you're correct.
Great. Okay, thanks. All right, so we have a couple of other questions on this, but I want to move to water real quick, and then we will get back to this if we have time. So we the number one question that I got when I was campaigning was, can you do anything about the water bills? And, you know, people have been complaining about the water bills. Now, I have to say that Ms. Curtis and her team, I think, have been wonderful with any disputes that we've had and trying to work everything out. So I really do appreciate that. So So are we getting through that backlog? I think when we had a hearing that there was a lot of backlog in terms of helping to deal with the disputes on the water bills. And then, we've got to think about how to make it so that it's not so expensive. But talk a little bit about the backlog.
So there's not so much of a large backlog. We did have some outstanding emails from the county whereby we needed to process. We currently have processed through almost all those items with the county. So we just have maybe a few hundred left. Where we're at right now, our crews are in our team around the water, whether that's LaToya, Ms. Curtis Group and CSSD, our meter shop. We meet every morning to look at our water bills. And what we know is, the city invested, $180 million in what we call AMI technology, whereby we have a network of our water meters that read through our network and communicates with our billing system, UMAX, which is another, top tier water billing system. So the city has invested in a great system. And, one of the things that I've heard as I was coming into this role is that UMAX and AMI technology doesn't work. I kind of want to push back against that notion. It actually does work, but it doesn't work without the proper, training and processes, right? And so, what we've been focusing on as a group is truly working on our processes and training our staff so that they understand how to work within said system. And so, in doing that, we have, been able to triage through a lot of different things, and with the hope of making sure, number one, everyone gets an accurate water bill every month, right? And where there are certain discrepancies, we work very swiftly to solve those issues with our public, right? In addition to that, ensuring that we bill every resident and business in our city and making sure that they receive their bill. And as we do that well and continue to improve, not only number one, be able to provide better customer service, but number two, begin to do a proactive maintenance of our system. For example, should we not read the reading on your meter every day? We can go out and get alerted, and we can go and check and see what's going on at that site. If we see constant usage at a home, we can be able to get that information and notify the customer and say, there may be a potential leak. Check your toilet, your faucet, do a perimeter check of your home. So we have those analytics, and we will be utilizing to get better. And with that, right, understanding that we're billing all of our customers and we're billing them right, and two, that we're collecting the revenue that we are billing, then you can get to a more stable environment. And so that's what we're striving for. That's what we're working every day to do. And as you see, you can see some of the more swifter responses. And we also, you will begin to see a lot more proactive engagement with our customers so that we can have a problem about a leak, 3 days after we think it's happening, instead of you waiting until you get a bill or two and you're frustrated because it's high. For example, at my home here in West Baltimore, the flap on my toilet actually broke. This is, a $2 plastic flap. And so for about 3 or 4 hours, I just heard water going, right? So I went into my bathroom and was like, is there a leak or not? And so I opened up the back of my toilet, checked the flap, and was able to make the purchase and fix it, right? But I was, I'm lucky enough to, have a lot of experience in the water system to know to go do that and be able to fix it myself. But if I didn't do it, right, I potentially at the end of the month have seen $1,000 or $2,000 water bill, and then I would call and say why, right? But it's simple as being able to engage our customers quickly when we know, so that they don't have to wait for the water bill to see that, so that we can be proactive and engaging, so that we can mitigate those things earlier on as we find them. And our system has those capabilities of doing that. And those are some of the things that we'll be rolling out very swiftly.
Oh, that would be great. We got actually a Facebook comment and a comment in the chat just about that issue of notifying people. If you can read it, if it's truly a smart meter, then we should be able to read it ahead of time. If something's unusual, then be able to contact the resident and say, hey, we see some irregularities. Do you have a leak? Do you have, whatever? But there's sometimes where there's just an error, right? We saw that in the paper the other day where there's like no way that particular resident was, using that much water in one cycle. So we still are seeing some errors here and there on the bills.
No, and you're definitely gonna, all utilities have some type of error rate, right? And it's always usually between the 98.5 to 99.5%. You're gonna see success rate, and then at 1.5, the half to 1.5%, there will be some things where you have to have engagement with your customers. We have to recognize that Baltimore City manage over 400,000 meters, not only in the city and the county. And so with that much infrastructure and that, that kind of technology, you're going to have sometimes where, there may be a malfunction in a read, or that, the meter may break. And so utilizing that technology to be as responsive as possible is critical. But also, as we send out bills, we have what we call an exception process, where we see something enormous like the $60,000 bill. We have the ability to pull that bill, research the issue, work with our customers, make the adjustment, and then send out the bills. So Latoya, or I would say Ms. Curtis, is actually working on that process now and revising that process so that we can be more proactive with our customers. And so as we move forward, it's hard to do anything about something that's happening in January or so, but as we move forward now, we'll have better processes, so you will see that less often. Now, will there be complaints or concern around water bills? Yes, but our job is to pick up the phone, be responsive, be able to provide clear and concise information and work with our customers to resolve them. And that's what we will be doing over the next few months, implementing more processes so that we can even get better with that. And there's a lot of process changes and staff training that we're doing, but we have a very committed team here in DPW. As you can see, many of our teammates are here tonight, at 9 o'clock, talking, and they've just been so dedicated in doing this work. So I just can't say how much I'm proud to be part of this DPW family.
Ms. Curtis, did you want to add anything?
One thing I would like to add is I would encourage people to get signed up for the portal that we have, where customers can see real time if they see their usage increasing more than what it usually does every month. You can set alerts, and you'll be on top of your bill as well. That would also be helpful.
So they just go to the city's website and search water billing.
Actually, everyone, when you started with the new Baltimeter, they were issued a launch letter. So if you don't have that launch letter, you can call our customer service area and we can get you your actual activation code to set up the portal for yourself.
Okay, so they still need an activation code. I think that's good for security reasons, so that they can, because we've had complaints about the tax bills and the water bills being so accessible, where I could just put in the address and there it is. It helps me to help constituents, but not so good if constituents feel like their data is out there. So I'm glad that there's that piece. Okay, that's great to have that portal as well. And I understand that there'll be online billing at some point too. People can reserve. I guess they already can pay their bills online, but there'll be an added feature, right?
Correct. We're working on not only adding that feature, but also being able to streamline the process so that folks can engage in their account. That's a great tool, because that tool also can alert you and inform you of any leaks or any inconsistencies, so that you can address them before and get alerted before you receive a bill. So there's a lot of technology, as you can see, that we have. And so we're just going to continue to leverage it more and more.
That's great. I'll get that information. I do a newsletter every week, so I'll make sure to get that information out and do the 311. we could talk about water too. I just want to let people know the biggest complaint that we get is, Baltimore County's bills are so much lower than ours and they use the same water. But I know that they are billed differently. They are billed, the water part is actually is a separate bill, but the sewer charge is in their taxes. And so that's why it seems so different. I remain concerned that I'm hoping that they're reimbursing us the way that they're supposed to, particularly in COVID, if they didn't have enough resources, to make sure that the costs for doing business and supplying them with water are being paid for.
No, you're absolutely correct. It's just a different structure, but I think the same outcome. We do work with at the end of every fiscal year with the county to do what we call our true up. And there's a formula that's been written. We go through that formula, and then what's ever owed and remaining, we reconcile out with the county, and those payments either way are made. And so, we're excited about pretty much being trued up for many of our past years, and finalizing many of those processes. So we're looking forward to brighter and better things with our water bill coming forward. Ms. Curtis, Assistant, our Deputy Director Garber, who's not on the call today, who's leading that effort. They've been doing some great work around this, and the public will see the return on that investment and time that they're spending very, very shortly.
Yeah. And so we've got some more questions in the chat that, thank you, Ms. Collins, you're answering. Appreciate that. And then and you put the water billing portal in here too. Excellent. And we'll get that out in the notes as well. And then just a couple last questions. I know we're running out of time because we could talk about DPW all day. But I do want to, make sure that we give a shout out. First, we will be doing a separate town hall about the flooding in 35th Street. I want to just really commend, I know Kim Grove is not on the call, but she and the OEM team have really been, and Mr. Wolf has been a part of those conversations as well, and Ms. Collins. We're getting to a solution, or many pieces of the puzzle, to try to address 35th Street. So, and it's been I knew I would learn a lot on this job, but I didn't realize I would learn a lot more about the pipes underneath the city than I do now. So I have appreciated everything that everybody has done. So we'll have a separate conversation about that. But I also wanted to compliment Chief Kabidi, and I say your name wrong, I'm sorry, Kabede, because I hate it when people say Ramos, so I need to say it correctly. So it's Ramos, and everybody said it here fine. But you and your team have been awesome addressing our water main breaks and the leaks here and there. And so I wanted to make sure that we shout out your team as well, because it's been wonderful to work with your team and I know that you all are gearing up for the winter season when we get even more water main breaks. So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about some of the processes or anything that you need us to do to make that a little bit better for you, other than give you more money.
Thank you, Councilwoman Ramos. I think you mentioned winter season. We are right now in the process of gearing up for the winter season. The past 2 years, at least the 2 years that I've been here, we haven't had that bad of a spell, but we know that it can get bad. So we have a pretty sound, solid governance structure for an emergency center. Should we have a deep freeze where we have just a ton of breaks and freezes throughout the system, that will be comprised of operations, communications, and just overall emergency command. So a lot of that also involves making sure that we have all the supplies and the materials that we need, and so the team is working actively to make sure that the procurement of everything that we need is going smoothly. So yeah, I think that's, but I can answer any other specific questions about our utility maintenance operations.
I think the main thing is just for people to know that, you know, if you see something, if something's leaking or whatever, dial 311 first. Don't call me first. Dial 311 first. And then you can send us that so that we can communicate directly with the crews. And I've gone out there in some of the cold temperatures with the water main break. I'm sure it's totally not fun work, but the workers have been gracious enough to explain to me what was going on. So I do appreciate it. And I know we all appreciate what you do. We have a very old infrastructure that actually was back in the day put together, was, you know, one of the, you know, sort of ahead of its time. And, you know, we didn't do a good job of maintaining it over the years, or maybe we did, it just got old. So now we actually have more to do. So I really appreciate you and your crews for everything. And then of course, if there's, and the best thing I think that for all of you to continue to do is just to give us some expectations. So, you know, the Chief Kabedi is very interested in doing, letting us know that, okay, there isn't any problem with the water service here. So we'll get to that leak in a minute. Let's go make sure that we take care of the residents who don't have water. So managing those expectations, I think, is part of all of our jobs. And as long as we communicate, you know, what time frame people can, generally people understand. So I do appreciate that. That's one of the things that you do very well, is manage those expectations.
I appreciate you saying that. And also just, you know, to add a little bit to that, I think, as you know, rain or shine, you know, hot weather or cold weather, our men and women are out in the field on a daily basis. And so the effort that they put to correcting, you know, these emergencies or addressing these emergencies is admirable. So I definitely appreciate their efforts, and I appreciate your understanding, so that sometimes, you know, we have to prioritize these jobs according to where the greatest need is, but we'll do our best to communicate effectively.
Thank you very much. I'm going to ask 2 more questions and then I'll let you all go to your families. And I appreciate your time very much. One is about the recent reports about pollution in our stormwater, wastewater. So no, it wasn't in the wastewater, it was in the stormwater, and also in our the Jones Falls. We had an issue at the Stony Run as well, which, by the way, was, you know, DPW was right on it to try to make sure that there wasn't pollution there. So what happened? And it was at the backwater also. What happened and what's next?
Maybe Joseph, can you take this one?
I think I can. So I think we're talking about the Fleischmann vinegar plant. Just as you know, FYI for all the listeners, DPW has a robust sampling and monitoring program at about 40 locations citywide, where we monitor the waterways for various parameters like ammonia, dissolved oxygen, pH, and what have you. So that program has been very critical for us in the past in terms of identifying certain stressors to the system, and through that we've been able to do some source tracking and identify where the sources for any variances or deviations from the ambient parameters have come from. So that's one, and also all the information on the monitoring and the results is available online. The particular issue with Fleischmann's vinegar, typically there is a category, if you call 311 for reporting water pollution. So we typically get those notifications, and then we go to the location and do the investigation. In this case, Blue Water Baltimore, I think, put it out on social media, and that's how we were alerted to it. In general, it had to do with the failure of the cooling water in their system, and high pH or low pH cooling water was introduced into the stream. Since then, they have done the correction. Whatever issue they had with their system has been corrected, and we have verified that the system is now back operating as it should be.
Great. Yeah, it's always good to have partners like Blue Water Baltimore who's been monitoring the quality of the waterways. And it sounds like their alert system and yours are, working together. So that's really great.
Yeah.
One last question. This is going back to the illegal dumping, if you don't mind. Will we ever get more mobile camera units to help us combat and record activity, illegal dumping? It would be great to have more cameras. I know we have an issue in Coldstream Homestead Montebello. I'd love cameras so we can see who's actually dumping on the medians. It's making me crazy. And so any discussion around the cameras? This came from Facebook.
Now, currently right now, the Department of Housing and Community Development does enforcement on illegal dumping. And I know currently they do have a fleet of cameras that are out there, and they move them around the city. We would have to get back with this team about their plans to beef up that effort. And we do stay in coordination with them, but we would definitely have to reach out to them about their process for, expanding enforcement via camera.
Oh yeah, well, we'll be having Commissioner Kennedy on at some point, so we'll ask her then as well. So I do appreciate that.
Really perfect.
So I do want to thank all of you for being on, because I know that it's very late at night and you all have worked very hard, and we didn't get a chance to talk with all of you, but you all were there for moral support, which is wonderful. So I really do appreciate the whole city appreciates all of our all of you and all of the crews, because this city wouldn't run well without it. And it's great to have new leadership and good leadership from all of you to make all this happen. So I really do appreciate all of your time. I want to thank our audience here on Zoom and also on Facebook Live for your amazing questions and your interest, because we have some famous trash pickers here, Ash, and we have some great people very interested in this. So you do have an engaged group of folks here in the 14th district and across the city, which is wonderful. So we look forward to partnering with you and keeping this moving forward. Anything that I can do to be helpful, to either getting the word out, or we're all committed to making sure you have a lot more money to do the work that needs to be done, and also any support that you need. So I really do appreciate all of you being here. To our audience, next week we have the first of two Hispanic Heritage Month celebrations. So please join us for that. We'll have Angelo Solera from Nuestros Raíces and a few other groups joining us. So what my role as the first Hispanic elected official, I feel like, is in Baltimore City, is to raise the awareness of our great community. So that's what we're going to do for the next two. And then we'll get back to our city agencies and services. So again, thank you everyone for being here. And thank you, DPW crew. You are amazing. And we look forward to the next time. Thanks a lot, everybody.
Thank you.
Take care. Have a great night.